Hey, this is Tina. Thanks for tuning in to Dirt Road Believer. I have a surprise for you today. I have some lady I picked up off the street. I don't know who this is. No, you can probably tell. This is my sister. This is JJ. And this is the lady who cooked us for 9 whole months. We're so proud of her. We think she did a good job. This is my mom. And you can call her Cha-Cha because that's what everyone else calls her. So we're so excited because this is our first chance to get together since quarantine. So we've been having a great time listening to music. We're all big Broadway fans. We've been dancing around, having a great time with the grandkids. So I am sort of like, I'm the younger sister. I'm sure you could tell that. No. I guess I'm sort of like Joseph in the Bible. I'm the younger sibling who's like the button pusher growing up. I was the goody-goody. I always made sure that in my parents' eyes, I was the good one, she was the bad one. And that makes her, I guess, kind of like Joseph's older brothers who conspired to throw him in a well and sell him into slavery. She never did that, but she did conspire with a friend to throw me on the front porch nude in middle school and lock me out.
No, you were not in middle school. I was 13. I was 13.
Y'all were in high school.
No.
No.
Disagree.
I'm pretty sure.
Right. I was 13 and she was 9.
I'm so traumatized I can't remember, okay? So that's how bad it was. Now, it's not fair for me to tell dirt on her and she doesn't get a chance. So what's one of your memories?
Okay, so when growing up, of course she was the annoying little sister, and one thing that I would need to go into my room for privacy, leave me alone, little girl, and there was right in the door, like right where the line, the threshold on the floor, the carpet changed colors from my room into the living room, and she would go in the living room and I would say, just leave me alone. Do not put one toe in my room. And there would be the line, and she would take her foot and she would come just as close as she could with that toe just to aggravate me. Well, then of course I'd have to, shove her out and close the door. But while the door was open, she meant she was going to get a foot in my room.
So if I'm Joseph and she's Joseph's older brothers, that would make her the godly parent Jacob, I guess, who always has tried her best to guide us and steer us in a godly way. And we're not going to get away without hearing something from her. So hit it, Chach.
Well, I was advised that it had to be brief, so I will just say this. They're perfect in every way.
The Mary Poppins twins.
Is that really your story?
That's it?
She had
Y'all told me to be brief.
She had a 10-minute story lined up. And
I still got it.
We tried to get the abridged version and she didn't have
I
one.
have no abridged versions.
Okay. There will be more to come from Cha-Cha in the future. So you will get a Cha-Cha story. She's very much a storyteller. But you can see how family dynamics are something so complicated and layered. And when you think about the dynamics within a family and all of the different people, mine and my mother's relationship affects the relationship I have with my sister, and the same is true in every combination. And then you add more people and more generations and it just gets more complex, and that's on a normal day. Then you add a trial to the situation and it gets even more complex. And I heard this last week from a preacher. I thought this was so good. He said, trials don't create the condition of the heart, they reveal it. So this week we're leading into Father's Day, and so this week we're going to jump right in the middle of 2 fathers and their families, and they are right in the midst of major trials within the family. And it's great because you've got 3 main characters in the family where you see these dynamics and how they play out through this trial, and how God moves and works even through that complex balance that they try to have. So I hope you enjoy our devotions this week, and we're going to get started right now with the story of Jacob, Joseph, and Benjamin. Thanks guys for coming, and we're going to dance you out. family that we're looking at today is Jacob's family, and mainly three people: Jacob the father and the sons Joseph and Benjamin. Now you've got to remember that Joseph and Benjamin were born from Rachel. Rachel was Jacob's most loved wife. He worked for Jacob for 14 years to be able to marry her. And then once they did get married, she was barren for a long time. So he had 12 sons, but 2 of them were from Rachel. Joseph was the firstborn, and then Benjamin was born, and during childbirth, Rachel died. So there's a lot of connection to these sons through Rachel, and they were favored over the other sons. So I hope as you listen to this story, as we get into it, you begin to recognize maybe yourself in at least one of these characters. So let me catch you up. I said we're jumping into a family trial. The trial is that by this time Joseph is already in Egypt. He has risen up to second in political power, and he holds all the keys to the grain, the food that he has stored up during the 7 years of feasting for the 7 years of famine. And then you have Jacob's family, who doesn't know that Joseph is even in power or in Egypt. They think he's dead, and he is and they are starving. They're in a famine. And so this is the second time that Jacob has sent his sons to Egypt to get food. They've already been once. Joseph has seen them. He knows they're his brothers, but he doesn't say anything. And he says, before you come back next time, you need to bring somebody else. And this is what he says. So when they had, by the way, this is Genesis 43. I'm starting at verse 2 through verse 6. So when they had eaten all the grain they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, go back and buy a little more food. But Judah said to him, the man warned us solemnly, you will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother along with us, we will go down and buy food for you. But if you will not send the man, if you will not send him, we will not go down, because the man said to us, you will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. Israel asked, why did you bring this trouble on me by telling the man you had another brother? Now I want to stop right here, because here is Jacob, and I always say the Bible should be longer. In Jacob's case, we get so much information about his life. We follow him all the way up from birth to death. I mean, there's just so much there, and we have seen through everything how Jacob has trusted God. But he is not willing to let go of Benjamin. He has already lost Joseph, his firstborn from Rachel, and now he's being called to let go of Benjamin. Benjamin was the youngest, and Rachel died having him, and he just can't do it. He is holding so tightly. But Benjamin has to go in order for them to get food, and we'll see what happens next in a minute. Bear with me. All right, now let's hop over to Genesis 43, and this is 29 through 30. And this is from Joseph's side of it. Jacob does send his sons. He reluctantly sends Benjamin so that they won't starve to death. Sorry about the camera here. So this is 43, 29, and 30. And it says, this time about Joseph, as he looked about and saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son, he asked, what is your youngest brother? Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about? And he said, God be gracious to you, my son. Deeply moved at the sight of his brother, Joseph hurried out and looked for a place to weep. He went into his private room and wept there. Benjamin happens to be the family member that is the key to what happens next. He is the key to Joseph's forgiveness towards his brothers, Joseph welcoming his entire family, brothers, father all 72 of their wives' children to come and live near him and make provisions for them. And I just want to think about that for a minute. For Joseph, Benjamin meant restoration through reunification and forgiveness. For Jacob, Benjamin was something entirely different. Benjamin was still restoration, but through release. Sometimes in a family, it can be that one thing that we have to give up, or that one thing or that one person within the family that we have to forgive, and that's what unlocks the restoration for the entire family. And I've been in those places before where I knew I needed to forgive. I've been in those places before, those seasons where I knew I had to release someone or somebody and trust God with them or with that situation. And so just reflect upon that today. What is it that you need to either release or forgive in order for restoration to happen within your family? As I said, family dynamics are just so layered and complex, and I hope that this helps you to reflect on your family some. Thursday, we're going to look ahead to another father and his family who are in the midst of a trial, and that is the story of the prodigal son. So I hope you will join me on Thursday. Thanks so much for being with me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. If you like this, like, subscribe, share. Goodbye.